basically we're trying to deliver on the promises that we set out in these ads, in our pre-marketing stuff, that when you come to Newfoundland and Labrador, you are getting exactly what you think you should be getting. There's been no standardized set of standards or generally accepted set of standards across all the different partner organizations. So the TAP, or Tourism Assurance Plan, is meant to bring that level of standardization there. So it is the first step, and what we're rolling out now is the first step in an ongoing process. And we're basically saying to travelers that, we're here to do business and we're set up to do business in a way that you'd expect it. Also, if you're not compliant with the Tourism Assurance Plan, it will prevent you from participating in provincial and industry memberships, partnerships opportunities in Newfoundland and Labrador through tourism services and attractions. Okay, so that's the reason we need to get you compliant. The next thing we want to talk about are the 5 standards very quickly. The ability to communicate and receive messages from customers by telephone, email, and an online presence, and at minimum accept credit card and or debit payment and respond to inquiries on a daily basis. The second standard, possess and maintain valid license, permits, and other regulatory requirements to operate. Number 3, maintain current and sufficient levels of liability insurance. Number 4, deliver on the actual experiences or service being promoted and or offered to the customer. And number 5, must be in good standing with the Tourism Assurance Plan's complaints procedure. There have been other webinars on some of those topics. There is H&L, and that's who I'm sitting here as today, has a resource page on our website under Tourism Assurance Plan where you can see some of those recordings. So if you need some follow-up on that, do not hesitate to go there or contact one of your DMOs, H&L, TCR, IBRD, ACOA. We're all partners in the Tourism Assurance Plan. Implementation. Okay, what if you are compliant? Well, you need to let the process or the system know that you're compliant. And the way that you let the system know is through the completion of your top sheet or your tourism operator profile. And on the phone is Karen from TCR, who's going to quickly talk about some of the screenshots for doing a web update, because really that's the most effective way to fill out your top form. Karen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're on slide 1. Do you see it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'll play the keyboard if you'll sing the song.
Okay, this one is the contact information where you would need to have your email address, your web page or a Facebook page, and your primary telephone number. And I suggest that people would jot down these ahead of time so you have an easy access to when you are updating your profile. And this screen here will just tell you that if you do not have all those fields, that you probably won't be able to get past unless you have them. This is the same field for your web page, and to the right, I can't actually read it right there. 1 second now. Yeah, this is where you have to have your web page or your email address and your web page. Again, same as the first screen. Okay, next. It's hard to see. Our screen is a very large. This screen here, it basically tells you that yeah, one of these fields are still a required field, and you would still have to log in your email address or your Facebook page. Like these next 2 or 3 screens here are the same for your phone and your email and your web page. this is your insurance policy and policy number.
Okay, Karen, that was very quick, but I think everybody can see that these are the key fields that have to be filled out.
Yeah.
Somebody gets at this and starts having trouble. How do they get help?
Well, what we're suggesting too is that if you're having trouble or you're a new operator and you're just starting to log on to web updates, to call TDMS at 729-5599 and or email tdms at gov.nl.ca, and we can walk you through it and get you all set up.
Okay. Sounds excellent. Karen, anybody have any questions for Karen before we thank her for her time? Hearing none.
Okay, I also suggest that when you are doing your web updates for your TAP 5 TAP requirements, to have them jotted down for easy access as you're going through each page.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Okay, so before we introduce the next speaker, I'm going to ask Lynn Taylor from the Tourism Board to have a few words.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the third webinar of this series now. Like Craig said, I'm the manager of Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism Board, and the Tourism Assurance Plan is an initiative of the Tourism Board that all partner organizations have fed into. So I would like to thank our partners for joining us on the call today, and thank them greatly for reaching out to all the operators throughout the province to make sure everybody has as much assistance as possible. Not much to say from me, just that thank you for showing the interest. And I'd like to turn it back to Craig. We have a wonderful resource here for us today that will hopefully guide us through the credit and debit card portion of TAP.
Thanks very much, Lynn, and I'm wearing a second hat now, I guess, as purely H&L. First was a facilitator for the webinar. We've gone through the province and reached just about every region. I was every region except Keith, up to see you guys in Labrador, and I'm hoping I can get that in at some point. But basically, we've been going around promoting the Tourism Assurance Plan, and as part of that roadshow, we've been fortunate, I guess, through H&L, to bring a number of our resources with us who can help get people over the compliance line. That's part of the coaching that we're providing. We're not saying here's the standards, go find out how to do it yourself. We're trying to bring the resources that can help you get there with us, so that you can manage some of that stuff. So this morning I'm very pleased to present Joanne Witten with Chase Paymentech. Joanne has accompanied me on many of these trips, and every time she speaks I learn something a little new about the whole credit card piece. So Joanne, thanks very much for coming in, and go ahead, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for inviting me along to do this. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Let me know if I fall off or anything. We're going to go through a slide. I have a short presentation here, and I'd like to make this as interactive as possible. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to, to speak whatever is on your mind, or like I said, any questions at all. There's no silly questions. Everything is worth a listen for sure. Just a little bit about our what we're going to discuss. It's just about Chase Paymentech, really, and what we have to offer you as Hospitality Newfoundland members. So when you're wondering about who to choose for your payment processing options, obviously we want you to choose Chase Paymentech, and the reasons are outlined here. With expertise, we are Tier 1 acquirer in Canada, and I'm not going to read this slide to you, just to give you some points about who we are, what we've done, what we can do. I think with reference to Newfoundland and Labrador especially, there's some really unique things that we offer. One of that is being a seasonal, you can set up as a seasonal merchant where you can have your point of sale or any payment processing usage that you need, you can have it seasonally. So you're not paying for it on a monthly basis, especially in the months that you're not active. So, that's very important. The other thing, of course, is price. We offer competitive pricing, and Hospitality Newfoundland and has chosen Chase Paymentech as their preferred payment processing provider. And in doing that, they also offer you the benefit of our services as members with them. So we'll get into that pricing a little bit towards the end of the slides. This slide here that you're looking at now, it just gives you an idea of some of the companies that currently deal with us. And the reason for this is to show you that these companies choose us. There's some pretty big companies here, and they choose us. They can go to whomever they wish, but they choose Chase Paymentech over any other payment processing company. One other unique benefit, I guess, and feature of Chase Paymentech is that we are the only representative for the payment processing industry in Newfoundland and Labrador. So there's no other company out there that has someone on foot here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I travel across the island to visit companies and our financial institutions that are partnered with us, and the various associations that partner with us in order to offer you our services. The next slide will show you just the basic rundown of what we offer. We have point-of-sale machines. We have wireless, wires, you name it, it's out there. We have semi-integrated solutions, card-present integration with various softwares. We have mobile units for short and long range, which brings us to our pay-at-the-table solutions. And, of course, card not present. That would be our virtual terminals, the touch tone capture, which is I guess you're all familiar with that. It was the old way of processing. You actually imprint your card on the slide machine and you call in your transactions. That's still available. It is a low cost. It's a little bit more work for you as the merchant, but for some industries and for some businesses in particular, that's the one that works best. So it's still available. We have, with our e-commerce or online solution, we have recurring and deferred payment options, which is great for regular customers that are paying a monthly bill for different types of organizations. Are there any questions so far?
Hey, you said there's no silly questions, so I'm feeling good about asking this one. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
It's Gary here. So you are kind of, I'm not going to use the word the equivalent, but you guys do pretty much what Moneris does. Is that correct?
Yep, we do better than Moneris, actually.
So I knew you were going to say that. No, I just wondered if it was, because honestly, the only credit card dealings I've ever done for anything in my life were for this festival I work for, and I took it over 6 years ago, and Moneris was there. I didn't know what Moneris was. I knew that that's who I call my transactions into, but now I know that there's not just Moneris. I just assumed they did all of these, but now I understand that there's a choice.
Of course, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay. And Gary, maybe that's a good place to start. So let's start this question back further. What do you need to do to collect credit cards, apart from the system itself? What kind of bank accounts do you need? And how does a company like Chase Paymentech or Moneris or any of these fit into that equation? Can you start us back at zero?
Yep, absolutely. For the most part, I mean, there's a number of payment processing companies out there, or what they like to call themselves as processing companies. To me, if they're not backed by one of the bigger, larger banks, then they're not considered a true payment processing company. You will have calls from all what we call white label companies, and they just want to sell you equipment for the most part. And those are Pivotal, Tangerine, Elevon, the list goes on, Collective POS. There's so many. There's too many even to mention. So the 5 main payment processing companies are Chase Paymentech, of course, Moneris, Global, TD, and First Data. In my opinion, if you're not processing with one of those 5, then you should really have a look at who you're processing with, because they're all backed and they are partnered with specific banks, financial institutions. So the reason, Gary, you only know about Moneris is chances are you either deal with CIBC or Royal Bank, would be my guess.
No.
Sorry?
No, we don't. We actually deal with Bank of Montreal, but as I said, when I took it over 6 years ago, Moneris was the provider, and I guess I didn't even know there was any options, like I said.
Yeah, okay, no, I understand. As I said, though, for the most part, when you go to open up a bank account, you open up a business checking account, they have their preferred payment processor. And Scotiabank is we are their preferred payment processor. So Scotiabank refers all of their business clients to Chase Paymentech, first and foremost. And I understand where you're coming from because it was already in place, so if it's not broke, why fix it?
Well, I didn't even know I had an option of changing. I just didn't know that there were other companies that did that.
Yep, no, absolutely.
Okay.
So that's, for the most part, that's what you need. You need a business bank account or commercial bank account, and you need to speak with someone from a payment processing company. That's the basics.
So you're telling me, or the people on this webinar, that I can't go out and get my own POS system and just deposit that in the account. I need a third-party processor to handle that for me.
Absolutely.
So the shopping that I need to do is who's going to give me the best rate, or the best service, or the best whatever my factors are going to be in that third-party processor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And there's always options out there, and I encourage you to look at your payment processing and ask, is there a better solution for me? And that's what I do most of the time. When an account is referred to me either by Scotiabank or by an existing merchant who, their friend of theirs they're looking for an option, or they're opening up a new business, or looking for new pricing, a comparison, I ask them for a statement of their current processing, and I will actually do a competitive analysis breaking down all the card types that you currently process and determining the various fees, because there's so many of them out there now. And I disclose every single fee that you would possibly or potentially face during a monthly sales cycle. And I break that down to show you whether we can save you money or we can't save you money. And we're also running a promotion, I guess it's a promotion, or maybe it's just something that we do because we haven't never stopped it, is if we can't meet or beat your current pricing, we're going to give you $500 just to talk to us. So it's certainly worth 10 minutes of your time to have a look at it, to give me a call or drop me an email, and let me have a look at your business and see what we can offer you. And if we can't do better than what you're doing, then the onus is on us to give you $500. So it's a win-win situation for you, certainly. Any questions?
Joanne, this is Keith from Destination Labrador. One of the inquiries I've had come at me here recently is from a new B&B operator that's opening up, and of course this is going to be a small seasonal operator. She's been exploring her options, and she has asked me a few questions about a service that her daughter actually recommended to her, and it's to use a tablet service or something like an iPad, for example, to process her credit card transactions. I'm making the assumption that that's probably not a service that's offered through one of the big five, like that you just mentioned, or Chase Paymentech. This is probably one of the lesser known ways of doing things?
Yep, no, we, that's what we call an e-commerce solution, and it's a virtual terminal, and yes,
Okay.
that's what we offer.
Oh, you do offer that, okay.
Yep, there's no way that you can process a transaction that we cannot be involved. For one, you need a payment processing company.
Right,
So
okay.
for companies that come at you, and you might have heard of Square, maybe?
Yeah.
It's the attachment to your iPhone or whatever.
And that's exactly what you called it, yes.
Okay, so with Square, that's just a device. What Square does is they sell you that device. You still have to go to a payment processing company, which would be
Okay.
one of the 5 of us, to process your transactions. You know, with what we call white label companies, such as Pivotal or Tangerine, or they're just some names that you may have come across. They have to process through a payment processing company, which would be one of us.
Okay.
So either way you look at it, whatever equipment you want to purchase or however you wish to process, you still have to get your pricing through us or one of the other 4 payment processing companies.
So essentially what you're saying is you're putting an extra layer of administration,
Yep.
an extra cost on you if you use one of those
White label companies.
white label companies, right?
That's right. We at Chase, we are a one-stop shop. There's no other company that you have to go through. You get one statement to show you all your fees, all your transactions on the one statement. You're not getting 2 separate statements. You're not getting 2 sets of bills.
Right. So now to
Okay.
Keith's point about that question, Keith, I'll just tell you how we do it here at H&L. We have a third-party processor called BeanStream. Now, we use BeanStream because we've been using them forever.
BeanStream is actually your software that you're using.
Right.
Your vendor.
BeanStream is the equivalent of our point-of-sale system. You know,
Okay.
a Chicker or one of those nice things that you see on your screen now. We use that on the front end of our website. So if we were to charge a fee for, say, the webinar you're taking this morning, instead of getting charged $0, you would have had to pay by credit card on the front end. But we also use the back end of that system to take all of our credit cards that we use. So we don't have a chick machine or one of these nice pictures here. We use the internet as our interface or as our software. So then Chase Payment can put that money in our merchant account.
Yeah, we do the payment processing for H&L, but they have BeanStream as it's their Square. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, making more sense as we go along.
Virtual terminal, I mean, what that means is you can take any device that can access the internet, whether that's your phone, your tablet, your computer, your laptop, whatever you're using, as long as you can access the internet, it's a link that you can process transactions. It's very much the same as Square, but there's no debit transactions, as there are none with Square either. It's credit only, and it's not chip compliant. It's not EMV, so it's not a good product right yet. When it
Okay,
becomes a really good product, we ourselves will sell it, but it's not yet.
Okay, so in essence, though, what it would do is take the place of your pay at the table terminal or any of these other devices that you're showing up on the screen there right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Exactly. That the Square it's an invention. I mean, it's a great little tool for sure. But until it becomes chip compliant and EMV compatible, Chase Paymentech will not offer it because it doesn't protect you against fraudulent activity.
and it doesn't take the and it doesn't provide the service of using a debit card right now. You're saying it's only for credit cards.
It's credit only. That's right.
It's credit only. So really, it's not a very versatile service for somebody to be using.
Not really. They say it's a little less expensive. They don't charge any fees for the actual Square, but they're charging 2 3/4%. Square is charging, but then you have to get your payment processing charges too.
Okay.
So Square is charging this 2.75% for for nothing, really, because they say it's free, but they're not doing any payment processing. We're doing it for you, or Moneris is doing it, or Global will be doing it.
I think from an operator standpoint, I think that maybe she was thinking that because there's not a whole lot of hardware that she would have to invest into, that she already has an iPad, for example, and has a Wi-Fi connection, that she probably would be saving money. Now, this was very preliminary that she suggested this to me. She hadn't done a whole lot of research or anything like that and compared it against other services that were offered by companies like yourself. But I think that was her initial thought, was that, well, listen, if I'm only going to be open for 4 months of the year and only have 3 rooms here in my house, that not investing into any hardware probably is going to save me a little bit of money. But yeah.
You know, and that's the whole idea of it. And that's why it's so inviting to avail of that service. But we offer those services as well, and on a seasonal basis.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you were to take the go and put it down and compare apples to apples with it, it's probably not saving a whole lot. You still had to employ these other services that you just said. That's
right, and that's why it's so important to ask for the second opinion. You know, if you want to give her my contact information,
I already have, actually.
I'm sorry?
I said I already have.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Maybe I've already spoken with her then. I could have. But yeah, you know, however way you want to process, we can accommodate you.
Okay.
But we will do it in an environment that's going to protect you against fraudulent activity, and it's going to suit your business. In the end, it's up to you what you choose. But you know, it's my job to direct you to the best solution for you and your business.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Joanne.
You're welcome. There's a little bit more information about what we offer at Chase Paymentech. One is our resource online. So besides our monthly statements that you could get them by email, or you can get them by paper. You can also go online every single day and look at every single transaction you perform that day. It's also a great way to show any chargebacks or errors or anything like that you may come by. So just a little bit of information about that. And there's no cost to you for that. That's just a service that we offer. And we have 24/7 customer support, and it's bilingual. And our technicians, we have technical support of the equipment. There are some 4-hour on-site support for replacement. They're basically in the main cities, I guess, which is a terrible way to say it, but wherever Maxwell offices are, it's within 4 hours of their office. So the whole idea is that we're there to assist you whenever you need it. We can do downloads, we can do troubleshooting, whatever it is you need, we can take care of it for you. The value, of course, I'm after going through all that with our equipment and our services. The seasonal option, which is, I think, huge in Newfoundland and Labrador, especially with our tourism industry. You know, it means so much to be able to, if you're in business and you're open for 3 to 4 months of the year, there's no reason why you should have to pay for equipment that you won't use for 7 to 10 months of the year, you know? So that's something that we offer. We also offer a gift card program. It's probably the least expensive gift card program there is out there. It's $6 a month plus the cost of cards, and you can order as little as 50 cards. I've never come across it anywhere, and it's our own in-house gift card program. So pretty much you're putting a logo of it's advertisement for your business. You're putting a logo on your gift card, and you're passing them out for people to come back to your store. You're getting money up front. You're getting paid for the service. Whether they come back or not is up to them. But it's a great way to promote your business. And the exclusive Hospitality Newfoundland pricing offer is shown there, 1.65 for Visa, 1.72 for MasterCard. non-qualified transactions is 0.34%. And those of you, and debit is almost 8.5 cents. For those of you who already process with a payment processing company, the rate, the 1.65, 1.72, really that's almost irrelevant because the non-qualified transaction fees is where payment processing companies make their money. Visa and MasterCard introduced this non-qualified transaction fee in 2009, and what they said is for every credit card, every Visa, and every MasterCard that's out there, we're going to add this additional cost for you to accept it as a merchant. So if I went to your business and I had my Elite Visa card that I get 5 points for every dollar I spend, it's going to cost you more to accept that card. The other side of it is you can't determine which cards are which, and you can't choose which cards to accept. If you're choosing Visa, or and MasterCard, you have to accept all of their credit cards. It's their brand, and all those cards come under the brand. I've seen this non-qualified transaction fee as high as 2.5% to 3%. And that's why I like to see statements. I like to do a comparison. It'll break down every single transaction that you're processing, and I will break them down and show you in two separate, in side-by-side Excel file, the difference of what they're charging to what we're charging and the savings available to you. And that's how we determine whether or not we can save you money. And if you get the $500 check in the mail. Any questions on that? And there's our $500 check. We've written 2 $500 checks. So pretty much we are going to meet or beat what the competitor is doing out there. But it's certainly worth the while, and it's definitely a challenge for you to take 10 minutes and provide me with some information and do that. You know, it's worth it to you and your business for sure. And my contact information is there, and I believe that, Melissa already got it up there, or Craig does. Perfect. So if anyone got any questions, the floor is open.
So basically, Joanne, there may be 2 types of people that I'm seeing who'd be interested in this. There are those who are not currently accepting credit card or debit card transactions and who are trying to get into this.
Well, they need to get into it, I guess, to be TAP compliant.
Well, they do, and I think from a best practice perspective as well. When I travel, I rarely have cash, and I don't think I'm the only one like that. But again, I can also understand from the operator perspective that there's an additional cost in accepting, credit card transactions.
Exactly.
So in doing an analysis of, or an ROI, if you will, return on investment, they've got to consider what their third-party processor is charging them, what type of POS they're going to use, and what the fees would be for that, and what their volume, I guess, is.
Absolutely. I do need to know your expected volume or a ballpark of your volume and your average transaction size as well. So what people are spending when they come to your business. And like I said, it's ballpark figures, and that's pretty much what I need in a nutshell. If you're not interested in providing me with a statement, that's no problem. I'm still going to do your pricing for you. But as Craig said, I do need the bare basics of your business. I need to know the industry type, of course, and how you wish to process. With reference to, and I said that Scotiabank is, we're Scotiabank's preferred payment processing provider, and there's some benefits. If you're a Scotiabank client, there's no fees for anything that goes through your Chase Paymentech terminal or however you're processing with us. There's no deposit fees. There's no transaction fees with Scotiabank. And other companies do that too with their payment provider. But that's not to say that you have to deal with Scotiabank. It doesn't matter. We don't charge you if you bank with other financial institutions. Most other companies you'll see a push funds fee on your statement, and that means you're not dealing with the bank that they've chosen.
Right. So back again now to an operator who's not currently accepting credit cards, and the fear is, where am I going to get this extra income?
Right.
I'm assuming that every other business bills the cost of processing into their pricing strategy to begin with.
Yep.
So that's cost of doing business, just like overhead, just like rent, just like all those things. But let's take Keith's example now, the B&B operator who's at it for 3 or 4 months of the year. How cost effective can it be for me? What is the basic amount that I would have to pay to be able to accept credit cards? And I mean, we all understand now that the non-qualified fee got to factor into this. But as a basic understanding, how cheaply could I start accepting credit cards for using, the least amount of bells and whistles?
It would be less than $20 a month. You can start processing for less than $20 a month, which would include your transaction fees, depending on the volume, the number of transactions you do in any given month. So that would be for our touchstone capture. It's $5.95 to set that up. You call in your transactions, and there's a account maintenance fee, which is $9.95. So you couple that together, you're looking at about $16. Plus, depending on if you're just doing debit, if you're doing debit, you're going to need the equipment rental. So, but if you're just doing credit cards, you can do it for less than $20 a month. So it's pretty inexpensive. It used to be really expensive because, the fees were astronomical. You were looking at 3 to 5% for a credit card transaction. As you can see in our pricing, that's not the case. And that's why I like to speak to everyone individually, because every business opportunity, it's unique. So, it would be a one-on-one conversation that I would have with you.
Now, that's sorry, Joanne, it's Keith again. So that situation analysis that you just used there, that would be using dial-up though, right?
That would be using a phone. You would actually imprint a card or take the card over the telephone and call in your service. You call in the number.
Okay, that wouldn't have any hardware in your business. That would be just calling in the number.
Yeah, just your phone. That's it.
Only that chick machine.
Yeah, that dollar. Yeah, that's $1.
Yeah, okay.
That machine is $1. You pay $1 a month for that. So, it is fairly inexpensive. And I know it's a cost that some operators just don't want to incur, but it's very important, as Craig said, when he's on vacation, and I'm much like it myself. If you're not going to accept my choice of payment, then I'm going to go elsewhere, and I have the choice to do that.
And for your monthly service, for a seasonal operator like that, is that the way that you generally would go? Is just using a telephone line to call the number in, as opposed to putting hardware in the store?
No, we can do it any way that we process year-round. So whatever suits your business best. So if you wanted a point-of-sale machine, if you had a seasonal restaurant and you wanted to have pay at the table, where you go to your tables and take your customers' payment by visiting their table and having a conversation with them, you can do that for 3, 4, 2 months out of the year. And when you're not using that machine, you call us up and we cancel your service until the following season. Okay. We will send out a box for you to pack it up. We will send you a Purolator or a courier service. There's no cost to you whatsoever. And then the next season that you want your machine activated again, you don't have to do the application process. You simply have a merchant number, and you tell them you're reactivating for your season, and they ship you out your equipment once again. already set up the way it was the previous season.
Perfect.
So I think there's a lot of flexibility. I think it's also important to reiterate that base rate that you talked about in the beginning would fluctuate based on the POSs you choose and the terms and the amount, all that. But
That base rate, you're talking about someone who they have a cottage, and they might have someone in it 3 times a month. That would be ideal for them.
Right.
It's not a lot of work for you as the merchant because you're calling in 3 transactions. It's 3 phone calls. But if your business was more busy than that and you didn't have the time to do that, and you wanted to get your money, this is the thing. You're not paying fees for check deposits. You're not going to the bank to deposit money into the bank because that all costs you money as well. You're getting your money paid to you the next business day. So it's money in your pocket. And with reference to how we take the fees out, it's done on a monthly basis. So anything that you process for that month, it's in your bank account for the entire month. And then your fees come out at the end of the month. So if you have a sale one day of $50 and the next day is $70 or so on and so forth, every transaction you will see that going into your bank account as $50 or $70. It won't be minus your fees. So it's not an accounting nightmare. Our statements are very easy to navigate, and that's really important too because you get paid what you're offering in your service. So it's money in the bank for you.
I guess the other type of operator then, Joanne, is somebody like Gary, who's been, in operation for 10 years and who's got what they got because that's what they got.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some efficiencies that you could bring to that as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I understand, Gary, that, you do your sales, pretty much within 1 month.
Yeah. So I've already started thinking about, well, actually, I can think of a number of reasons why we probably will actually switch, one of which being that we are about to switch banks because Scotiabank is a major sponsor of our festival, and we've actually still been doing business with another bank. So I expect when we switch over to Scotiabank, then we'll do the switch to you at the same time.
Well, that'll be wonderful, and I look forward to speaking with you then.
Okay.
All the banks across Newfoundland and Labrador deal with me. I'm their representative.
Okay.
So I guess whether you like it or not, you got to deal with me.
Fine, I'm sure.
Yeah, it could be worse, Gary. I'll say that to you.
Absolutely.
So I think we've kind of covered this from a number of angles without hearing from any of the operators online. Does anybody have any questions, any direct questions right now?
Craig, I have another question, but it's not, it's related to the TAP, those 5 things, so it doesn't involve Joanne at this point. So do you want me to wait until?
Well, in the absence of another question, I wouldn't want you to go away unsatisfied.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just going to ask about that. The point, the one of the 5 points that covers this. As I mentioned to you earlier, we've decided for now to stick with not selling tickets online. I mean, we advertise them online. All the information is online, including the phone number that people have to call. But for our own reasons, we've chosen to stick with that. Does that make us compliant, or do we have to offer purchases online?
Yeah, no. If you accept debit or credit, you're compliant.
Okay.
If you're also doing that online, you're starting to look like a champion.
Well, I think we're pretty good champions as it is, but like I said, for various reasons, as I mentioned to you, the personal contact thing, we're sticking with the telephone purchases for now.
Gary, I did also say this in our off webinar conversation.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to sit here and recommend this and that and something else. Nobody knows your business as well as you do,
right,
and nobody knows your target market as well as you do.
Right.
So the intricacies of how you conduct that business is really beyond the scope of what TAP is trying to achieve. What we're trying to achieve here is that when somebody steps off a plane in Deer Lake and shows up, well, actually they couldn't do it in your festival because you're booked solid, but if they could buy a ticket and they showed up without cash in their pocket, would they be able to get their ticket? And the answer that you provided is yes.
Yes.
And that's only what they'd expect if they got off a plane in Florida.
That's right.
And went to Disney. Would they be able to go with their credit card and get a ticket? And the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
So I think from that perspective you are compliant, and you know your market, and you're offering what you're advertising ahead of time. You're meeting the expectations, and that was one of the first things I put up there.
Yeah.
We are trying to meet the expectations and deliver on those promises. So from that perspective, I'd feel very comfortable in saying that you're there, man.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Joanne?
Mark, I'm looking at your chat here. I'm not sure what WAWP is.
That's Writers at Woody Point, the festival that just decided to bring some business over to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I mean, you could certainly give me a call about that.
Okay, we will.
Okay, so is there anybody else that may have a question for Joanne or a general observation that you'd like to share?
Hi, it's Mark here. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, 5 by 5.
Yeah, just a quick, maybe a suggestion more so than a question is, Joanne, thanks for, you've been involved in a few things now around TAP and attended some sessions and a willingness to do the online, and obviously there are reasons, good reasons why you'd want to do that. Maybe even taking it a step further, it would be really, really helpful to us if some of the suppliers around TAP that are kind of related to these minimum standards can proactively produce some collateral material that we can use or refer to or send along, those kinds of things. We wouldn't necessarily tie ourselves to just, exclusivity or that kind of stuff, that kind of information, but it would be nice to have on hand to disseminate to people that we're dealing with in phone calls and that kind of stuff. So the kinds of themes and things that were touched on here that get tourism specific around TAP and some of the seasonality issues and some of those kind of fact type FAQ kind of questions related that you would anticipate for that audience. I don't know if there's a one-page or two-page or something that you guys might want to consider putting together around that. I know, for example, that at the NLOA Outfitters Association, AGM, MUN has gone and done quite a job of really digging into the weeds and putting together some stuff for the outfitting industry that's very kind of tailored to their needs. And it seemed to me at their AGM that a lot of people were responsive to that. Maybe just I've said some of the same kinds of things to some web developers across some minimum standard online presence things as well. I think some of them are being a little bit more proactive than others along those lines to really take it another step further to help us as resource organizations to help our stakeholders or operators that have any of these kind of issues that they want to address a little bit better.
Hey, Mark, it's Lynn here. That's a pretty good suggestion. I know that had been batted around a little bit, and we kind of didn't know maybe where we should go with it, but I think we're probably at a point now where we know exactly where we need to go. So I'll kind of take that under my wing to touch base with Joanne and Jeff from Cal Legros, and see what other resources we can wrangle up and kind of put together in some sort of resource document or manual or whatnot. Keep in mind too that this webinar will probably be put up on the link on H&L's website with all the other webinars and some FAQs and the PDF on this stuff. So we'll try to provide as much in the way of resources for folks that missed the webinar as well. But I'll take that, Mark, and we can probably chat about it at some point too to pull together some of that material.
Yeah, like I think even some of the things that Keith brought up earlier, and I only kind of joined, I was a little bit late, but Keith brought some stuff up there that I remember seeing that square mechanism myself and thinking, geez, why this is the solution to everything around TAP, right, on that standard. So but you need to dig a little bit further and be a little bit more informed before, as an operator. And again, it's a case-by-case basis too, which is Joanne's point, that we really kind of need to really figure out, where everybody's coming from in terms of their operations and what their needs are. So, but I think some kind of a facts document, across some of these things for some of these different suppliers across all of the minimum standards, and then maybe even best practices, for example, that, this is an opportunity. Maybe there's a space, there's a bit of real estate on H&L's page or something for some of that, and how you might play that out. I don't know if you pay for that space, that opportunity on H&L, or if it's just kind of more of a value for membership, maybe login, access to that kind of thing. But even just to equip our resource organizations that are shoulder to shoulder trying to address these gaps and stuff, that'll be really, really helpful. And I know we need to be careful about how we do that.
For sure.
Mark, Melissa just posted a link in there, and I think if everybody was to follow that, we've basically been hosting these webinars at H&L on behalf of the Tourism Board or in conjunction with the Tourism Board. But H&L has gone beyond that, I guess, in that we've edited some of these webinars, and now we're putting those up online for people who couldn't make it. And I think really the guts of this, the guts of all of this comes out when we have these discussions. I think people like operators, when they hear credit card transactions, for instance, they've got a preconceived notion of that because 10 years ago when they looked at it, or 6 years ago when they looked at it, it was terribly expensive. Things have changed on that, and we need to have those open discussions, and people in the know need to push that envelope every chance. Not so that operators are spending good money after bad, but that they can make the best decisions based on the current information. So I think all that you said is very good, and we've started on some of that stuff. Joanne is there. Her contact information is there as it relates to credit card information. And she's wonderful to talk to and wonderful to deal with. And we're so happy from H&L's perspective to be able to offer her as a benefit and a resource to the industry. So are there any other questions, comments, or observations? I noticed that we're gone a little over time, but probably closer to the allotted hour, given the time we started.
If anyone would like to reach out to me, as Craig said, my contact information is there. It's a toll-free number. I'm located in St. John's, and I do travel. I do go across the island. I'm not across the island every single month, but I do travel, and I can travel. So, feel free to reach out to me to have a conversation by email, phone, whatever's convenient for you. And thanks very much for allowing me this time to give you a little bit of information about what we have to offer and your options available to you.
Okay, well, on that note, I would like to thank everybody for joining us today, and certainly thank Joanne for taking the time to discuss all those options with us, and I think it's certainly been worthwhile, and it's provided lots of clarity. I'd also like to thank Karen from TCR for jumping in there on some pointers on the TDMS system. And thank you to Craig and H&L, and Melissa's here as well with H&L helping guide us through this. So thanks for providing the technical capabilities for this, and all of our partners for jumping on and providing some insight. So we are actually planning another TAP webinar series, and we're working on the date and time, so that's to be announced hopefully within the coming days. So just please check hnl.ca for updates, and I'm sure that our partners will be pushing it out through their distribution channels as well. So if you can just keep your eye on your email for that, then hopefully we'll be able to get you some more information on this very soon. So thanks everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks everyone.